Hey Jordan, it's Grant. I'm at your house. I actually just spoke to your wife. Just so you know, the hydrangea, none of the macrophylla hydrangeas are really blooming much this year because of the spring frost. They bloom a lot of it on old wood, last year's wood. So next year, if you get a normal spring, you should get a lot of flowers on the mophead hydrangeas. You got to remove all the drip line off the nepeta. See, these are nepeta on both sides. Some plants, when they start turning yellow in the center, they don't like water. So you need to literally take off the drip line. And if anything, I would put funny pipe in and replace the drip with funny pipe. We could do that for you if you would like. But then you really want to get the water off of this, off of the nepeta. Okay. These limelight hydrangeas, you have some here and some on the side of the house. You need to cut those back next spring about 70%. Literally 70%. And by doing that, you'll promote a much more sturdy bush. So literally, I would cut it next spring down to this height. So roughly about 2 feet off the ground. And they're going to grow another 3 feet. But you really need to aggressively trim those at least 50% every early spring before they start pushing growth. All right? And that will make them look way better. They're not going to start flopping over like they are now. If you do get a bush, like a flower like this that's growing way up in the air, it looks funny, just clip it off. It's not going to hurt the plant. So you're going to get some of these stragglers that kind of grow over time. Just clip it off. It's not going to hurt the plant. These guys have too much water, same thing, rhododendrons. So these, you got to get the drip off the plant because the water is coming from the lawn down into that area anyways. This has to be, again, trimmed back halfway. This hibiscus, trim it back halfway and you won't have it flopping over. It'll be a much more sturdy, bushy, denser plant. You might as well leave it this year and then late fall trim that back halfway. That blooms on new wood, so you're not going to be worried about trimming it back and losing the bloom like you are with the macrophylla hydrangeas. Make sure that your guy does not trim this plant after like July 20th. If he trims this mophead hydrangea, or the ones on the other side, or the ones against the house, those are serrata hydrangea, which is the same thing as mopheads basically. If you trim those plants back after, say, July 20th, you won't have any blooms, or very few blooms the following year. Okay, so that's really important. These over here are actually Annabelle hydrangeas, also known as smoothleaf hydrangeas. And these, I would say, early spring, cut them about 10 inches off the ground. Literally. 10 inches off the ground because they bloom on new wood. Again, you don't have to worry about cutting them like these are mopheads. I wouldn't trim. I wouldn't even touch these this year. Don't have your guy touch these. These smoothleaf hydrangeas, cut them about 10 inches to 12 inches off the ground. Early spring, like in March. Before any leaves come out on any trees. And then they'll come out beautiful because they bloom on new wood. You don't have to worry about spring frost with these. Okay. Same thing, the iris, probably don't need the irrigation anymore. Over here, you can remove the irrigation in the iris. What else? Need to deadhead these after they bloom, just so you know. So after they flower, you deadhead them and they rebloom. That'll make them give you a lot more flowers. These over here look pretty good. I wouldn't touch a thing. The water's actually going away from them, so you don't have to take the drip line off these because there's not really much of a slope, not that much of a slope going down that area. All right. I think we should do a fungicide next year for your pear trees. You see that it's got some disease fungus on there. All right, so that's something we should probably take care of for you. And that's about it. The only other thing I noticed is that there was 2 different types of liriope in the front, underneath the bloodgood maple. You might want to make it just one type of liriope versus 2 different types of variety. That's it. Talk to you soon.